Democratic-controlled U.S. House Judiciary Committee has unveiled charges against President Donald Trump, a key move in impeaching him. The first article accuses Trump of abuse of power and the second of obstructing Congress. The Republican president is said to have withheld aid to Ukraine for domestic political reasons. Kevin McAleese joins us now from Washington. Good evening and welcome to The Full View. I'm sure this came as no surprise.
No surprise, but still a stunning moment in US history. We had those House Democrats coming before the nation to announce that Donald Trump would be subject to articles of impeachment. He will become, potentially by Christmas, only the third president in US history to be impeached by the House. We had Jerry Nadler. He's, of course, the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. He came out and he laid out these articles. He talked about the first being that abuse of power. He said it was an impeachable offence for the president to use powers of his office for personal benefit. Donald Trump, Nadler said, asked Ukraine to interfere in our 2020 election and therefore violated his oath to the American people. He said it fits with Donald Trump's previous invitation of interference in the last US election, of course, that time from Russia, when he invited Russia to find Hillary Clinton's emails. The second article of impeachment, or impeachment charge, obstruction of Congress. This was no surprise. Donald Trump's administration have, according to the Democrats, been blocking witnesses from testifying for some time. They have withheld requested documents by House Democrats as part of this impeachment investigation. They say it's part of a long-running blockade from Donald Trump towards the House-led, the Democrat-led House. They added that Donald Trump considers himself above the American people, above Congress and above the impeachment process, and no one, they stressed, is above the law.
Is that the reason why we had Adam Schiff saying that the president continues to abuse his power?
Yeah, that's certainly been Adam Schiff's position. He's, of course, the chairman of the Intel Judiciary, the Intel Committee, the House Intel Committee, and one of the guys who led the reports and heard all of that hours and hours and hours of testimony, not just from witnesses who formerly served the administration, but ones who are still serving in the Donald Trump administration. It was that evidence that has been compiled over the last few weeks and was presented to the House Judiciary, on which they have based these articles of impeachment. The Democrats are in no doubt, and there's been no secret for some time, that they believe this president has abused his powers of office in an attempt for political gain. The Republicans, of course, are the polar opposite in their defence. They say there is nothing to see here, that the facts do not stand up to an impeachment trial. They say this is merely the Democrats bitter since the very day Donald Trump walked into the Oval Office. They say that Democrats still cannot come to terms with Donald Trump as the President of the United States, and they want to unseat him from office by any means necessary, because they argue that Democrats don't have a candidate that is equipped and capable of beating Donald Trump legitimately at the polls. Of course, Democrats argue that's not what we're doing here. This isn't about the election. This is about the integrity of future elections, the integrity of our Constitution. If we don't hold Donald Trump accountable for his actions, then other presidents will abuse the White House office.
For just a final one, what does this mean for the 2020 election, and has Donald Trump responded as yet?
Well, Donald Trump did respond. It was a pretty brief and direct response, and one that you'll have heard before. It was, of course, witch hunt. We've been hearing that from Donald Trump and Donald Trump's supporters within the Republican Party for a very long time. He says this is a coup led by the Democrats, and it's an absolute sham. In terms of whether or not it will have a bearing on the outcome of the 2020 election, which of course is still some time away, time will tell, because this is just the first part. Of course, we have a vote within the House Judiciary Committee this week. That's then going to move on next week to a full House vote. If that is if they vote to impeach Donald Trump at that point, he is an impeached president. It then moves on to a Senate trial. We're expecting that in January. He does have the numbers in his favour there, of course, with that overwhelming Republican Senate majority. So the expectation is he will survive that. He won't be removed from office. And of course, then we're into the election season proper. And will impeachment be part of the discussion across those number of months riding up to November when it's the next US election? Well, we'll have to see. But the country is completely divided at the moment, and it is entirely divided along impeachment as well.
Certainly no surprise there, considering that the country is divided as the country heads to the polls and we stay in the USA.